I'm Masan Jamal and you watch Afghan News. A government official says Pakistan must have known Osama bin Laden was living in the military garrison town near the capital Islamabad. The statement makes Afghanistan the latest in a series of countries throwing suspicion on Pakistan following the deadly strike against the Al-Qaeda leader. Defense Ministry spokesman General Muhammad Zahir Azimi said Wednesday the powerful Pakistan intelligence service had to have known bin Laden was living in the house in Abbottabad because of its proximity to military installations. Azimi says bin Laden's house was close to the gate of the Kakul military academy where top Pakistani officers train, and many neighboring houses are home to military officials. Osama bin Laden was unarmed when he was confronted and shot dead by U.S. forces at his Pakistani hideout. A White House spokesman has said. Jay Corney said that the U.S. was considering whether to release photos of bin Laden after he was killed on Sunday, but that the photos were gruesome and could be inflammatory. Corney said one of bin Laden's wives had tried to rush the U.S. forces and was shot in the leg, and bin Laden had resisted capture and was shot and killed. He did not explain how bin Laden had resisted. The White House spokesman said high temperatures had caused one of the helicopters carrying the U.S. forces to make a hard landing at the compound in Abbottabad, a town about 2 hours north of Islamabad, the capital. Barack Obama, the U.S. president, and a small team of his officials watched the operation in real time from the White House, but the mission was not run from there, Corney said. But Zabihullah Mujahid, a Taliban spokesman in Afghanistan, said on Tuesday that they questioned whether bin Laden was actually dead. Navi Pillai, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, meanwhile called on the US on Tuesday to give the UN details about bin Laden's killing and said that all counter-terrorism operations must respect international law. U.S. officials were concerned that Pakistan could jeopardize the Osama bin Laden operation and might alert the targets if Islamabad took part in the mission. Leon Panetta, the CIA director, has said in an interview with Time magazine published on Tuesday. Panetta said the CIA had ruled out working with Pakistan on the raid because it was decided that any effort to work with the Pakistanis could jeopardize the mission and they might alert the targets. He said his aides had 60 to 80% confidence that bin Laden was in the compound in Abbottabad, a town about 2 hours north of Islamabad, the capital. Pakistan on Tuesday denied any prior knowledge of the U.S. raid that killed bin Laden, but said it had been sharing information about the targeted compound with the CIA since 2009. While Islamabad held the killing of bin Laden as an important milestone in the fight against terrorism, the foreign ministry said Pakistan had expressed deep concerns that the operation was carried out without informing it in advance. Asif Ali Zardari, the president of Pakistan, has also emphasized that the killing of bin Laden by U.S. forces was not a joint operation with his country. Senior U.S. Senator John Kerry said Tuesday he would travel to Afghanistan in mid-May to weigh the effects of Osama bin Laden's death on the U.S.-led struggle to root Islamist fighters there. Kerry, a Democrat, as he led a hearing of his Senate Foreign Relations Committee on U.S. policy in Afghanistan, said he was going to Afghanistan the weekend of May 14th and hoped to be able to get a good sense from the Afghans, from President Hamid Karzai and others, what the attack is on rear view, as well as the events that have taken place in Pakistan and how that might affect some of their calculations. Kerry said he aimed to take a stock of how bin Laden's death at the hands of U.S. Special Forces would affect prospects for negotiating with any Taliban Islamist fighters willing to work out a grand bargain with Washington. The lawmaker, a long-time champion of closer U.S. ties to Pakistan, said he would weigh how the Al-Qaeda chiefs apparently unperturbed life is in Pakistan says about that alliance and about the prospects for peace in Afghanistan. Extremist sanctuaries in Pakistan continue to threaten the prospects for peace in Afghanistan. And while we have been working closely with our Pakistani allies to address our common threats, ultimately we must address Pakistani concerns about what the end state in Afghanistan will look like, he said. Political progress in Afghanistan gained momentum, though there are widespread security challenges that undermine reconstruction, the British government said. British Foreign Secretary William Hague briefed members of parliament on the status of the war in Afghanistan. British forces are part of the international military cooperation in Afghanistan meant to give the government in Kabul the security it needs to develop. Hague told lawmakers that President Hamid Karzai has started the transition process with 7 provinces in the country. The Afghan army is taking control of some operations without the active support of the NATO-led International Security Stance Force, said Hague. Hague expressed concern, however, over the rising numbers of weapons uncovered in the country, attacks on compounds belonging to the United Nations, and April protests over the burning of the Quran by a Florida pastor. These, Hague said, were clear signals that the insurgency remains a serious threat to stability in Afghanistan. The lack of an international monetary fund program for Afghanistan, he added, was a concern because it reflects shortfalls in sound fiscal management. 9 police officers were wounded in 2 bomb attacks in West Afghanistan, police said Wednesday. The attacks occurred in Herat province, said Brigadier General Isa Iftikhari, a police commander. The officers were injured after driving near an area where remote control bombs had been placed. No group has claimed responsibility for the bombings yet. NATO-led forces in Afghanistan killed a civilian and 6 Taliban militants in the country's southeast, officials said on Wednesday. NATO special forces were dropped by helicopter to raid a house Tuesday night in Zarmat district of Paktia province, said Ruhollah Samoon, the provincial governor's spokesman. 6 Taliban fighters and 1 civilian were killed and 10 other civilians were wounded, Samoon said. 3 men, 3 women and 4 children who were injured in the raid were taken to hospital by the NATO forces, he said. In a statement, NATO confirmed that during an operation, insurgents engaged the security forces and the Afghan coalition forces responded. NATO said the operation was part of a search for a leader of the Haqqani terrorist network who had plans to attack the Paktia governor. 1 Afghan woman was killed in the battle, said the statement, which put the number of injured civilians at 7. And after being on the decline for a while, U.S. President's popularity has got a strong boost following the killing of Osama bin Laden. 2 surveys conducted a day after U.S. forces tracked down and killed the Al-Qaeda chief in a hideout in Pakistan found Barack Obama's approval rating at 56%, a 9-point improvement over last month. The results released on Tuesday were reported by the Washington Post, Pew Research Center and USA Today Gallup poll. The Washington Post Pew's Research Center poll showed that only 40% of those surveyed approved of the president's handling of the economy. Other polls last week found that about 70% of Americans felt the country was on the wrong track. Even though the economy is slowly recovering from the Great Recession, unemployment remains near 9% and gasoline prices have shot up. While Obama has received generally broad bipartisan and international backing for the killing of bin Laden, Americans at the same time report increased fears about retaliatory Al-Qaeda attacks. And that is all for now. Thanks for staying with us.